My friend tried to hit the gas, but the engine stalled. Outside, from the blackness, came the sound of laughter. Not human laughter. It was layered, like dozens of voices mocking us all at once, echoing from every direction. Welcome back to Undeniable Fear. Tonight's story takes us to Dallas, Texas, where a simple road trip turned into a nightmare no one could explain. 3 friends went chasing a sunset, but what found them in the mist was something far darker. In July of 2022, my 2 closest friends and I set out on what was supposed to be a carefree road trip, one that would take us nearly 1,800 miles across the country, from the calm Midwest highways to the vibrant heart of Dallas, Texas. 3 days on the road had left us physically drained but spiritually alive. The open sky, endless playlists, and laughter between us had built the perfect prelude to what we thought would be a memorable summer vacation. The first day in Dallas went as planned. We explored the city, sampled street food, and lounged by the hotel pool until the evening. The air felt heavy with heat, but alive with energy. By the second day, after hours of shopping and swimming, one of my friends suggested we chase something beautiful, the Dallas skyline at sunset. A quick search led us to a park about an hour away, supposedly offering a perfect panoramic view of the city. As the GPS guided us through the fading daylight, the roads grew quieter. Traffic thinned, the sky burned orange and violet, and by the time we arrived, the last light was fading behind the horizon. The park was eerily empty. Tall grass brushed against our legs, and the air smelled faintly of stagnant water and rust. The distant hum of the city was barely audible, apart from a few people leaving and a single police cruiser idling near the parking lot. The place was deserted. My friends hurried ahead toward a hill overlooking a narrow man-made river, eager to capture photos before the light vanished. I lagged behind, my footsteps slow, uneasy. Almost immediately, a cold, sharp dread crawled up my spine. It wasn't just fear, it was the crushing awareness that something was wrong. I froze. The world around me went still. Even the crickets stopped singing. That's when it hit me. We weren't alone. I forced myself to move, quickening my pace until I reached my friends on the hill near a bridge. The skyline glittered in the distance, but I couldn't appreciate it. My hands were trembling. "We need to leave," I said firmly. Both turned to look at me, one annoyed, one uneasy. "What's wrong with you?" the annoyed one asked, laughing nervously. "I don't know," I admitted, "but it feels like we're being watched. I swear something's here." They exchanged looks. One friend, still on a video call, waved me off. The other nodded hesitantly. The longer I stood there, the heavier the air felt, thick, suffocating, charged with something unseen. Even breathing felt wrong. I urged them again. "Please, let's just go." Finally, they agreed. They turned back toward the parking lot while I lingered, trying to calm my racing heart. That's when it happened. Footsteps, slow, deliberate, and behind me. They matched mine exactly. Every step I took, a corresponding echo followed. When I stopped, so did they. But these weren't echoes. They were too heavy, too real. The sinking realization turned my blood cold. I whispered, "We mean no harm. We're leaving," my voice trembling in the empty field. Then I turned. What I saw defied logic, something I will never be able to unsee. Standing no more than 20 feet away was a towering figure, shrouded in thick white mist that clung to its form like smoke. It had no feet. Its body floated just above the ground, limbs grotesquely long, arms dragging so low that the tips of its fingers scraped the grass. From within that shifting haze, two dim, yellow eyes burned with an unholy glow. It wasn't human. It wasn't even alive in the way we understand. It simply was. I choked out an apology, stammering, "I'm sorry. We didn't mean to intrude." For a brief, terrifying moment, those eyes flickered brighter. Then, as if acknowledging my words, the figure dissolved into nothing, consumed by its own mist. I ran. Every instinct screamed, "Run now or die." The world blurred. I barely saw where I was going until I reached the lone tree near the parking lot. That's when something else caught my eye. A shadow crouched among the branches. It was a wolf, or what looked like one. Its body was twisted, wrong. Its fur shimmered like smoke, and two blue eyes burned from the darkness, watching me with hunger and intelligence. It let out a low growl, lips curling into something disturbingly close to a smile. I froze, my mind blank with terror, until I heard my friend's voice shout my name from the car. The sound snapped me out of it. I sprinted, dove into the back seat, and screamed, "Drive, now!" As we sped out of the park, I blacked out. The last thing I remember was the police cruiser's lights vanishing behind us. When I woke, I was lying in the back seat, drenched in sweat, with my friends frantically trying to wake me. We were downtown, surrounded by lights and people again. But that sense of safety didn't last long. As we drove back toward the hotel, the GPS glitched, rerouting us down unfamiliar, narrow streets. Every turn led us deeper into an area we didn't recognize. The streetlights grew sparse, then flickered out entirely. Pitch darkness swallowed the car. The only sound was our breathing, until a sudden, bone-chilling scream echoed from somewhere outside. Then something landed hard on the roof. The metal crumpled above us. The car shook violently as claws, yes, claws, scraped against the surface. My friend tried to hit the gas, but the engine stalled. Outside, from the blackness, came the sound of laughter. Not human laughter. It was layered, like dozens of voices mocking us all at once, echoing from every direction. We started shouting prayers, every word we could remember, desperate for protection. The pounding stopped. The laughter faded into silence. One by one, the streetlights flickered back to life, revealing an empty road. We restarted the car and drove straight back to the hotel in silence. When we arrived, we finally saw the damage. Deep, claw-like dents in the roof, arranged like the paws of some enormous animal. None of us slept that night. By morning, all three of us were running high fevers, our skin clammy, our dreams filled with flashes of those yellow eyes and that voice laughing in the dark. After 2 restless days, we cut the trip short and drove home without speaking a word of what happened. Even now, years later, I still wake up some nights thinking I hear those footsteps behind me. And sometimes, when I pass by a mirror or a dark window, I swear I can see those same glowing eyes staring back. If you ever find yourself driving through Dallas after dark and the fog begins to thicken, don't stop. Because some things in the mist aren't just shadows. They're watching, waiting for someone who dares to notice.
In the late summer of 2005, when Hurricane Katrina tore through New Orleans, the Johnson family lost everything. Their small home, once filled with laughter and the smell of Sunday dinners, was reduced to wreckage in the storm's fury. For weeks they lived in shelters, clinging to one another, waiting for help that always seemed too far away. Relief finally came when FEMA allotted them a modest house on the edge of a quiet neighborhood. To the Johnsons, it felt like a blessing, a chance to start over. But the blessing soon revealed itself as something else entirely. The first few nights felt strange. The house never seemed to rest. When the streets outside were silent, faint whispers drifted through the walls, like people speaking softly just out of sight. At first, they told themselves it was the old pipes, the settling wood, or perhaps restless minds still haunted by Katrina. Then came the night that changed everything. While they slept, a chilling sound woke them. It wasn't the whispers this time. It was their 5-month-old baby. At first, they thought he was only cooing. But as they listened closer, their hearts nearly stopped. A low, guttural voice rose from his tiny chest, syllables broken and strained, as if something was trying to speak through him. His eyes were wide open, fixed on the dark corner of the ceiling, staring at something the rest of them could not see. That night, the whispers grew louder, and the Johnsons realized their new house wasn't shelter at all. Within a week, the sounds worsened. At night, it seemed as though dozens of people were walking across the upper floor, heavy footsteps pacing endlessly. Their bedroom was on the ground level, and each creak above made their skin crawl. Fear soon shaped their daily lives. They made a rule: no one would do anything alone. Even a trip to the bathroom meant waking another family member. Cooking, fetching something from a room, even stepping into the hallway. All of it was done in pairs. None of them felt safe when alone. One afternoon, while the children played in the yard, their neighbor stopped by. He greeted them kindly, asked how they were settling in, and then, almost hesitantly, said something that made the father freeze. "You know," he whispered, "you've got a lot of monkeys in that upstairs room." The father forced a nervous laugh. "What are you talking about? Where did you see them?" The neighbor pointed to the window of the room facing the street. "One night, my little boy was crying. While walking him around, I saw the light on in that room. And I swear, shadows were moving inside, dozens of them. They crawled along the walls like monkeys. I've never forgotten it." A chill ran through the father, but he kept his composure and invited the neighbor inside. Together, they went upstairs. The room was empty, but the air was heavier there, like something unseen had just slipped away. Days later, one evening, as the family sat together watching television, there came a knock at the door. Following their rule, the husband and wife answered together. To their surprise, it was Father Raymond, the priest from the nearby church. He had come to offer comfort and check on their well-being after Katrina. They welcomed him in. But the moment he crossed the threshold, the whispers started again. Faint at first, then swelling into a chorus of voices. Father Raymond froze, his expression darkening. "You hear that too?" he asked quietly. They nodded. He urged them to stay together, then walked upstairs into the front-facing room. As he entered, the voices sharpened, like dozens of unseen mouths muttering in unison. Yet, once he stepped fully inside, the sounds began to fade. When he returned, his face was grim. "This house is full of entities," he said. "They've been here long before you. And they do not welcome intruders. Stay together. I will return tomorrow." That night was unbearable. The whispers swelled into overlapping conversations, and the footsteps above multiplied until it sounded like a crowd was marching overhead. The children wept, and no one slept. Worse, FEMA had given them no emergency option to leave. They were trapped. The next morning, Father Raymond arrived earlier than expected. He walked through the house, pausing at doors and corners as though listening to something hidden. By evening, he gathered them upstairs. With solemn care, he drew a circle on the floor. "Stay inside this circle," he instructed. "Do not leave it until I say so." They obeyed. The priest closed his eyes and whispered prayers. At first, nothing happened. Then shadows began to stir along the walls, twisting and elongating. They grew into shapes, bent, crawling figures. Dozens, then hundreds. The room filled with them, circling the family, whispering in angry tones. The children screamed, clutching at their parents, as the shadows drew closer, closer, like they were about to break into the circle. Father Raymond's voice rose, chanting louder, verses ringing through the room. The shadows recoiled, flickered, then vanished all at once. The priest opened his eyes, drenched in sweat. "It is finished, for now. Leave the circle." They fled downstairs, shaken and pale. Minutes later, the priest joined them. "You must leave this house," he said firmly. "There are not 1 or 2 spirits here, but hundreds. They have lived here for generations. They will not allow you peace." The father asked, his voice trembling, "Is there no way to make them leave?" The priest hesitated, then answered with sorrow, "There is only one way. They would accept a sacrifice, the youngest of your blood." The mother gasped, clutching her baby tightly. Rage and terror surged in the father. "That is impossible," he shouted. The priest lowered his eyes. "I know. That is why you must go. Tonight you survived. Tomorrow I cannot promise the same." That night, the house seethed around them. Whispers pressed in from the walls, footsteps thundered above, and shadows slid along the ceilings like restless waves. But the Johnsons no longer cared. Their minds were made up. At first light, they packed their few belongings, gathered the children, and fled. As they drove away, the father dared one last glance at the upstairs window. For the briefest second, a cluster of dark figures stood there, emphasis staring down at them, watching, waiting. The Johnsons had survived Katrina's storm. But what haunted that house was a storm of its own, one they barely escaped alive. And sometimes, in the dead of night, when the world is quiet, the father swears he can still hear the whispers. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed tonight's story. If you did, don't forget to subscribe. And if you have real stories to share, send them to us with references. The best ones will be featured here with full credit. Thanks again for being with us. Take care of yourself and those around you. We'll see you in the next story. Until then, goodbye.